Mr. Blair?
Here.
Mr. Chancho? Mrs. Grosh?
Here.
Ms. Gutierrez?
Present.
Mr. Hald?
All right, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. No. Okay. He is not.
So under consideration of additional agenda items, I'd like to add excusing Don Chancho from tonight's meeting. Do we need to do that before, Allison, or just later, or anytime?
Sorry, what was the question?
Excusing Don for his absence.
Oh, you can do that now.
Do we need a motion for that?
All kinds of.
So, I'll ask the board if they would like to excuse Don's absence from the meeting today. He just said he wasn't able to attend.
Okay.
You guys all right with that?
Yes.
Okay. So
Sure.
let the minutes reflect that the board has approved Don's absence for tonight's meeting. All right, consideration of additional agenda items. Hearing none. Is there any public comment?
No? Okay.
All right. Deputy Director Owens, it's your big chance.
That's where I recognize this person from.
All right, good evening. Thank you. Absolutely my honor this evening to introduce our newest team member with our recreation team. This is Gina Barton, our recreation manager. Gina's been with us now 2 weeks? 3 weeks.
Yeah, going on
Okay.
3.
Time flies when you're having fun. So Gina has stepped into the role and is already doing great things, but she's going to tell you a little bit about her background.
All right.
Gina?
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really thrilled to be here. Just a little bit about my background as far as recreation goes. I have been in recreation all my life. I started when I was 19 years old working at the front desk of a recreation facility. It was the Swim and Fitness Center back in the day. And that just kind of stuck. So a good portion of my career has been with the City of Westminster, overseeing the city park recreation centers, as well as all of the programs that went within those facilities. I took some time and did a little bit of a jump into the world of finance. Got to stay in recreation because I was working for Jefferson County Open Space, but I have a degree in finance, and so I have also a love of numbers and that side of things. And so I managed the Open Space Fund for about, I think it was about 5.5 years. After that, I went over to Carbon Valley Parks and Rec District. That was my first district experience, which is quite different from the city. I spent a lot of time going, we could do what? Things move a little bit faster here, and I really like that. So one of the things that I absolutely love about recreation is just serving people and being here to serve. I'm also very passionate about public funds and making sure that we're using those responsibly. And so those are just a couple of my values to tell you a little bit about me. I'm super excited to get started on some of the programs and the things that we can do here, and truly believe that I'm going to add value. One of the other things, and this is the last one, and then I'll just be really quiet. So this is kind of a unique fact about me. I grew up in Hyland Hills, and I participated in the programs, and this is what shaped me to be who I am today. So, my parents actually live 4 blocks from where I'm officed out of.
Oh.
And that's the neighborhood. Carol Butts neighborhood is the neighborhood I grew up in. So I went and visited my parents, and we pulled out, I'm just going to show you. This is my softball picture from 6th grade. So I have a little bit of a show and tell. I want to see this because that might be it. Yeah, so you were asking me earlier, she was like, do you know everybody? I said, no, I only know the two gals on each side of me because I grew up with them. We all lived in the same neighborhood and they were my 2 best friends.
Did you play the purple people ears?
I don't. I don't even remember my name. my song.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Carol Butts.
Oh, I saw.
I don't even think it was Carol Butts Field. I believe we did our practices.
Doesn't look like.
No, we did our practices at Mason Elementary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My granddaughter is playing, and she's in 5th grade, and she's in Hyland Hill softball
Oh,
for the first time in
such a great one. Yeah.
having a ball. So she loves it.
Well, and I'll come back to this. And that's really what I have for you tonight. I don't know if you have any other questions for me, but again, thank you for having me. I'm really thrilled to be here. So, yeah.
Yeah, first off, just welcome. I
Uh-huh.
think you're joining a really good team.
Yes.
You know, we like our partnership with the city of Westminster, but we also like to think that maybe we're doing it right here as well.
Absolutely.
So thanks for joining our team as,
Yeah.
you know.
You bet.
may thank us, but we're glad to have you. Do you have anything in mind in particular that you'd like to try to accomplish in the next 100 days?
Well, let's see. We have a list a mile long. No, I think the biggest thing is really getting to know the staff. And I have been just super excited about the staff that I have met and the support that I've gotten. And I think just kind of settling in and really getting to know that and understand and get some rhythm there. And then to start focus on how can we improve. I told you my passion is numbers, and I love cost recovery, and I like looking at numbers. And again, realizing, public service isn't about making money necessarily. It's a lot about making sure we serve all of our community members and not just certain areas. And so I think that's something that even in the interview, I was told that this could be an area that we could focus on, and I'm really excited about that. That was some of the work I was doing before this. The other thing I can't wait to see is the strategic plan and start on those goals. So, yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I'd like to think that we're not about just making money, but making opportunities.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Okay.
Thank you, Gina.
All right. Looking for a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
I move that the Board of Directors of the Highland Hills Park and Recreation District
It's in there somewhere.
approve the May 2024 Treasurer Report as presented, but really, is it the June or is it the May?
It's me.
May, okay.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Discussion on the treasurer's report.
I mean, like Gina, I like numbers, and I was looking at these, and I do have some questions about the administrative revenues. Well, so I'll tell you, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions. The administrative revenues, if you look, they're favorable by the tune of about 600,000 to budget, and I'm just wondering, is it a timing difference, when we're seeing that in the tax revenues?
It's the interest income. If you notice, I had Skylar add over there to the description, includes investment income.
Okay, so that, the reason it's $600,000 extra investment income?
Because it's not fully budgeted, not
Got-
knowing what interest rates are gonna be.
Got it, okay. And then the other one is the tax revenue. Is this the actual increase in tax revenue over what we thought we were gonna get, or is it a timing difference? So that, that, okay, well, okay, then, wow, okay, good, got that. Recreation, so if we look at recreation, there, the year-to-date budget was $932,000 in expenses. And it's up by 416,000, so it's it's a pretty material increase relative to what it was. Is it a timing difference or a?
So it is a timing difference. If you remember this time last year, the sports center was not open yet, and this year it's been open since January 1.
Okay, so it's the budgeting of,
The sports center wasn't operating this time last year, and we have operations now through May.
so you're saying, but budget for 2024. Oh, no, that still doesn't make sense. So expenditures were budgeted at 932,000, but you're saying they were budgeted based on the fact that it was only open partial year?
The allocation may have been a little off, Margaret,
Okay,
without having that year under our belt of what the actual operations look like.
okay. And then revenue is up, enterprise revenues are up across the board, and so are expenses. So I was just, is it timing or is it just, yeah, people are participating more?
So we're having exceptionally good weather this spring, which is phenomenal. But we are taking the opportunity, as we've worked through the strategic plan and hearing loud and clear about taking care of what we have. So there have been a lot of money put into maintenance items throughout the enterprises.
Great, so with the increased revenue, we're meeting the deferred maintenance that we have on, okay.
I'm not going to say all of it yet, but we are working towards that.
Those are the questions that I had.
Any other questions? Discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving the treasurer's report for May 2024, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Looking for a motion to approve the board meeting minutes of June 4th.
I move that the Board of Directors of Highland Hills Park and Recreation District approve the minutes of the board meeting of June 4th, 2024 as written.
Is there a second?
Second?
Discussion?
I don't have anything.
Hearing no discussion, we'll have a board vote on the motion. All those in favor of approving the board meeting minutes as written, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Nicole, is there any communication or correspondence to the board?
No, sir?
Thank you. Yvonne, Project Tracker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we're referring to the worksheets there, starting with item number 1, which would be the City of Westminster intergovernmental agreement work. Just letting you know that we're continuing to work with the city and their staff. Our discussions are kind of focusing now around the programming, the capital needs and operations of both the MAC and Carol Butts Park. So we'll continue to keep you posted there. Moving to item 5, which is the Park and Rec Master Plan Committee. Wanted you to know that the playground at Carl Park has been installed and it's open to the public. It looks amazing. So if you hadn't had a chance to get down there, you might want to go take a peek. We are continuing on the improvements to the blue course at the golf course, and we're expect to complete both of the green renovation and the cart path in the fall. We'll kind of finish that all up after the league play, probably early October. We have added the Water World front entrance project to our committee meetings, and so we'll be tracking that as well. That work is out to bid right now. And then work is continuing at Clear Creek Valley Park on the shelter projects. I think they were supposed to pour the foundation for the big event shelter today, so hopefully that got done. And then they'll move over to the shelters on the east side of the park. And then we are also currently out to bid on the Phase 2 of the Sports Center project. So that, I think, is due in at the end of July. Moving on to item 7, which is the restaurant leases, just letting the board know that the lease committee is continuing to work through pending matters with the previous golf course tenant. It's kind of a slow process, but it continues to move forward at a slow pace. Item 9 on the Highland Hills rebranding project, the work has resumed on all of the park's monument signs, so those companies that were away for the winter are back working on that. That work will probably continue all the way into the fall. And then we're also working on getting new exterior signs for the fitness center, the Baker Center, and the Carl Park Community Center. And then finally, the strategic plan. I know that Skylar is busy working on reviewing the draft portions. I think that the plan is to get the edited draft back out to the board and to our executive leadership team by the middle of July, with the goal of adopting that in August at the August board meeting.
So I'd like to encourage the board, once that gets sent our way, let's make sure we read it, go through it, be ready to have questions in August.
Yes. So
And also
just
form committees from it, I think, or think about if we need committees.
Just a couple other comments. One is we are working with Magellan Strategies. We have first draft of that questionnaire that will be going out to the community. I think we think it can go out as early as next week, and they're hoping to get 700 responses back from that. So I think we're pretty well dialed in on what those questions are going to be. And then just to let you know that you're looking at the May numbers there, but we really have just had a phenomenal month of June. So if you remember last year at this time, at the end of June, we were crying and licking our wounds because it had been such a rough start. Really happy that we've had a good solid start, knock on wood. I don't want to curse anything, but really enthusiastic about how the year is going, and it's across the district: golf, Water World, Adventure Golf, even the Ice Center. We were meeting this morning, and Corey was commenting about how busy the Ice Center is in July, and it's never supposed to be busy in July. So just really looking forward to a good, solid year.
Wow.
Happy to answer any questions.
It's nice to see the Water World parking lot full every day, as well as the golf course.
No rainouts.
I don't think we've had any rainouts.
Yeah, it's quite different than last year.
Last year we missed 11 days in June, something like that.
I don't think it was quite 11, but it was maybe 6 or 7. Yeah, it was quite a lot for 1 month. So, and then sprinkled in were marginal days, right? We opened when it wasn't really the best weather to open up on, so those are painful too, so.
Well, and then if it closes during, the weather gets bad, then everybody can come back another day.
Right, with our rain check policy.
Right.
I think Bob confirmed that this is correct. You went back and looked in the records. This is the busiest June we've had in at least 12 years.
Yeah, I went back to 2000, way back. This is.
Since when?
For at least 10 to 12 years.
Way back.
Way back. I don't recall the year, but at least 10, 15 years.
Back when I had brown hair. It was back a while ago. All right, we're at the attorney's report.
Good evening. There's a short legal report in your packet. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. How much was it? 50,000.
Total amount?
100. Yeah, it took them a while. They had to get some water rights or their water approvals from the city of Thornton. So, but they finally signed it and delivered payment.
Any questions for Allison? Allison, when I got this report, I read it through and I'm like, there's gotta be another page.
I know. I don't know if I said something, but
Yeah.
I don't,
I'm like, wait a minute, there's no other page, so I think that that's it.
it's a short one.
I do have a question. Are there any issues with a free library?
No big issues. It's just a question of who's going to own it, who will install it, maintain it, wanting to make sure people know that the district has no say in the books that are in here. You just leave whatever you want. You're not gonna get your book back, just common sense types of things.
And where would they be at? I mean, we have them over where I live. They're like set up along the walking paths, and I think somebody personally has set them up. So,
There's not a specific location in mind. The inquiry was more general of, can we put the little free library at one of your parks? So we just did a high-level review of what would that look like. They would need to get a permit from Highland Hills if it was placed in a park, and just thinking through some of the big picture issues.
somebody who's doing it then. Like, I just thought it was like the goodwill of some random, but it's an organization.
Not
That's
necessarily. It could be a random person.
Okay,
You just need permission to put it on property if you don't own it.
okay, well, I'm hopeful we can do it.
They're fun.
Okay, good.
Yeah, most of the free libraries, little free libraries are put up by individuals on their own property, and they take all of the maintenance and the books and all of that. I think if we're gonna do it on district property, I think we should have further discussion and see where or why and how, and make sure it's something that we'd wanna do. I'd like to see, the district come back with, do we wanna do this? Do we not wanna do it? Some type of recommendation to the board of Little Free Library. I don't know if other people want to hear from that.
Well, yeah, and I think that, because the ones that I know about are on City of Westminster open space, so they might already have a template.
We had one in the past, but actually down at the Pearl Mac building, which we no longer own. We had one down there and it worked fine.
Thank you, Allison. I don't see any old business listed. All right, we'll go to new business. Authorizing Farmers Highline water share purchase. So I'm looking for a motion on the Farmers Highline water share purchase.
I move that the Board of Directors of Highland Hills Park and Recreation District approve the purchase of 50-cent share of Farmers Highline water from Tony Klug in the amount of $120,000 and authorize the Executive Director to execute the agreement on behalf of the district.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, but to clarify, it's not a 50-cent share,
is
it's
that?
just a .50 share.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that that's clear in the motion, that it's not
Okay, thank you for
related
that
to-
correction.
So, Mr.
problem.
President, if I could just give the board a little bit of background. We are always in the market for water shares, particularly through Farmers Highline. And previous boards have, we've brought this to them before, basically kind of given us the authority to always be in the market. And if an opportunity comes up and if it's the right price, to bring it back to the board. So if this is not in the budget, this would be purchased out of our reserve funds. But again, it's one of those things that it's an opportunity. The price is a little bit higher. I think we had kind of settled in on about a $400,000 a share price point that we have acquired several shares through. This is a little bit higher than that, but not much. But again, this is just going towards solidifying our water resources for the future. So happy to answer any questions.
Yvonne, I see under the discussion points that the district would like to get somewhere between 30 and 35 shares eventually to become self-reliant with our water sources.
So this is
We
just
have
a half a
about
share for-
17, and then,
Okay.
and we lease another 3.2, so we're up around 21, but that's with leases, not owning, but we own 17. So this would take us up to 17.8?
Or 5.3. 17
17.53 approximately. So we're moving closer to that standard.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, the canal shares are great when the water is flowing. We're having a really good year with it so far. You know, they're only as valuable as the water resources are available based on the snowpack. But we water all of the golf course and now Carol Butts Park with this canal water, so it really is very important to us to acquire as many shares as we can. We used to have an agreement with the city of Westminster to purchase reclaimed water, which we no longer have. So that's why it's important for us to solidify these options when we get them.
How did they come to us? Like, how did Tony Club?
Steve Hager is a water master. That's all I have to say. He's very involved with the Hyland Canal Company, very in the know. He makes sure that they all know that if any shares maybe potentially come on the market, that we would be an interested buyer. You know, not everybody can buy the shares of water because you have to have a place to store the water. We fortunately do with the golf course ponds that we have. So it really is a networking thing that Steve has inserted us into, and he kind of gets tips, whether it's somebody that wants to lease it for the year or somebody that maybe actually wants to sell it. And he goes after those pretty aggressively. And again, it is all going to be based on whether we think it's a fair price for it or not. And so he negotiates, you know, here's what we paid in the past, here's the value to us. He's done a great job with it. And I think that there was even a little lunch at the Cottonwood Lodge with this one. Is that right, Alan?
Yes, it is. So Mr. Klug was considering selling this to some municipalities, but verbatim, his exact words, he's kind of a farmer. He had some acreage up in Golden. It was, I'd rather it go towards a facility like this than to wash cars. That's what he told us. So he got a golf course tour. He got to see the delivery mechanisms. He got a tour of the maintenance facility and got to meet a lot of the folks over there, and it was really a great afternoon. So.
Did he get to see where we could use a little more water on the east side of hole 15?
He was pretty impressed with the condition of the greens, tees, and fairways down the center line, and then showing him areas where we back off the water and we don't waste it. So.
Any,
Go ahead.
I was just asking for any further discussion.
You said that one share is worth 400,000?
That's roughly what we've been paying for it, yeah.
So then this means that we're getting a bargain?
Yeah.
That's a half a share.
Yeah,
it's only
so, but
120.
it's only 120, so it's a whole,
I'm sorry, $200,000 a share. There was a time where they were $400,000 a share. $200,000 is our target price
Okay,
these
so
days.
then it is a little high.
okay,
So it's a little higher than, yeah.
got it, okay, so one share equal 200.
And again, that's kind of our
Plus
set
or
price
minus, yeah.
that we've put out in the marketplace.
That's a good clarification. Any other discussion on the water rights? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Looking for a motion on the proclamation designating July Park and Recreation Month.
I would like to do this because I would like to read the proclamation. Is that okay? Are you guys okay with it?
The whole thing?
The whole thing, it's very good. Yes.
I mean, I read it, but if that makes you happy, I'm all for making Margaret happy.
Okay, so Gutierrez, Jim hasn't heard it.
All right, we have a motion, but not a second yet.
I'll second.
All right, now we have a motion and a second, so Margaret, take it away.
Go
Okay.
Margaret.
Designation as July as Park and Recreation Month. Whereas Parks and Recreation is an integral part of communities throughout this country, including the Highland Hills Park and Recreation District, and whereas Park and Recreation promotes health and wellness, improving the physical and mental health of people who live near parks, and whereas Parks and Recreation promote time spent in nature which positively impacts mental health by increasing cognitive performance and well-being and alleviating illnesses such as depression, attention deficit disorders, and Alzheimer's. And whereas Parks and Recreation encourage physical activities by providing space for popular sports, hiking, trails, swimming pools, and many other activities designed to promote active lifestyles. And whereas Parks and Recreation is a leading provider of healthy meals, nutrition services, and education. And whereas Parks and Recreation programming and education activities such as out-of-school time programming, youth sports, environmental education are critical to childhood development. And whereas Park and Recreation increases a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas Parks and Recreation is a fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community, and whereas Park and Recreation is essential and adaptable infrastructure that makes our communities resilient in the face of natural disasters and climate change. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Park and Recreation's Month, and whereas the Highland Hills Park and Recreation District recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources, now therefore be it resolved by Highland Hills Park and Recreation District that July is recognized as Park and Recreation Month in the Highland Hills Park and Recreation District. And that just made me be proud to be on the board for all of the good things that are there. So thank you for indulging me. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you reading that. That was a little bit of a mouthful.
Whereas.
Whereas, and whereas.
And
Whereas.
But it is important for everybody to hear all the great things that happen in parks and recreation districts, and I think this really highlights many of those.
I think we need to vote on it now.
We do, but first we have to ask if there's further discussion.
sorry.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving this proclamation, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, looking for a motion for the Waterworld parking lot asphalt bid.
I move that the Board of Directors award the bid for asphalt resurfacing and other work on the Waterworld Parking Lot A to Asphalt Specialties in the amount of $220,653.70 and authorize the Executive Director to execute the contract on behalf of the district.
oh, a second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion about the asphalt bid.
Questions for staff again? They're the lowest bidder, but talk to me about how you're the lowest bid equals all of them.
Well, for this particular project, there had been a lot of research. Steve had worked with some of the other vendors we work with to understand soil conditions and the best practice. This lot is, I would say, probably original. It's been around, it's in horrible shape. So there was a lot of pre-analysis done on what we needed to do. The bids went out and were analyzed for specific thickness, the methodology, and so, based on that and experience we've had with this vendor in the past, we feel comfortable that it's a sound bid.
We get dollars and qualities there to go with the dollars.
Yeah, well, they don't always go together, but we feel very, very confident in this case that this is definitely the way to go and we'll have a great result.
Is there any warranty time?
You know, that's a great question. I can get back to you on that. I'm not sure on a project like this if there would be warranty. I would imagine we have something there, but I'll have to check with Steve and we'll circle back.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to know if there's a sinkhole, if they'll come back and fix it. No sinkholes. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving the asphalt project for Waterworld Lot A, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. You all received an email about having a special meeting for the Board of Directors for Tuesday, July 9th at 4:00 PM. So I'm looking for a motion to have that special meeting on that date at that time.
I move that the Board of Directors schedule a special meeting for Tuesday, July 9th, 2024 at 4 PM.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
I'll need to call in to the meeting.
As will I.
So noted.
Do we know how long the meeting will last?
I don't imagine more than an hour, do you, Allison?
You have another meeting that night at 6, so we'll get this special meeting run efficiently.
Okay.
So Margaret and Mike, please watch your email for a Zoom link. Is that what we'll do?
Yes.
Thank you. All those in favor of the special meeting for Tuesday, July 9th, say aye.
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 Any opposed? We will meet on July 9th. Thank
Okay.
you. Board of Directors open discussion. I have one open discussion I'd like the board to consider, not to make a decision on tonight, but for us to start talking about. Mr. Fenimore approached me last meeting, at the end of the meeting, and wondered if there was a way we could have conversation or open public forum after the meeting, so that there might be a chance for public comment at the beginning and then maybe public comment at the end. I think it's something that the board, Mr. Fenimore, I heard you. I think the board needs to talk about that a little bit more, not make a decision tonight. There's a variety of ways I look at this. We could move public comment completely to the end, rather than having two sections. But you still would have to sign up first, so you might not know. Or we could just say, if it's super urgent, or bring your questions next time. If something triggers in your brain, what about that? You could always bring that the next time. But I think our board needs to kind of talk about, do we move public comment? Do we add a public comment section? How does that work? And then I'd like Allison to weigh in on that too. So I think more discussion is needed.
I agree, it's worth consideration, for sure.
Any other open discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to board meeting action recap.
I have two items. We need, if staff could provide the board with the recommendations where the little free libraries or library would be located. And then warranty information on the Waterworld parking lot A.
Okay.
That's what I got.
And to be ready to read the strategic plan when it comes in July. That's just a board thing for us.
Yeah, do you want me to add that? Ready?
Nah, don't worry about it. It's been added.
Homework?
Homework.
Homework
Homework is assigned.
Homework is assigned.
I like assigning homework. Okay, looking for a motion to move into executive session.
Okay.
Usually leave it to the ladies for the motions.
What's that? Here, I just have to find it.
My turn, okay.
Yeah.
I move the Board of Directors meet in executive session pursuant to CRS Section 24-6-402, Section 4B, for the purpose of conference with the district's legal counsel regarding specific legal questions pertaining to the possible purchase, lease, transfer, or sale of real, personal, or other property interest.
There you go. I second.
I would like to discuss this before we go in there. I think that executive session, what we're moving in to discuss, should really be considered open in public session. And that's something we can talk about in executive session, but I feel strongly that this should be in public session.
Margaret, we talked about that a little bit before you got here, is that I think you're right. I think we need to go into executive session first, and then once we exit executive session, that's a board decision, not an individual board member's decision. So we have to go into executive session first, and then we would all have to agree that it would then come back to public session.
Yes, and so I can vote that no, and then you guys can vote yes, and we'll go.
Wait, what?
So to go into executive session, we need a quorum. But I just want it to reflect that I think we're discussing in executive session should be in public session. And maybe Allison, you can.
Sure, I
Keep me
can
on this
clarify a little bit. So the executive session is to receive legal advice, and then the topic you can discuss afterwards in open meeting should the board wish to. So it's not really an either-or situation. So I'll give you legal advice in executive session, and then you can decide what to do.
Okay. I don't think there's any legal advice that would compel me to say that I think we should keep it in executive session, but I'll listen.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of moving to executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
We have 3 approvals and 1 abstention. So we will now adjourn and meet in executive session, and then we will return to finalize the meeting.
Warren, I think we can finish the meeting upstairs if that's okay with you.
It's fine with me.
Okay.
Well, Yvonne, I think that if we do want to then record it in public session, I think we'd have to come back in and adjourn here. I mean, we'd have to come back here first. If the board decides that we want to address something in public. So I would like to say if we decide that, we would have to come back in.